bit different than what we've normally done. There's no Mustang. There's no Firebird in sight. There's no Jeep. There's no Tacoma. Today, it's my lady's Lexus. We got a little oil change to do on it. You know, you gotta have food. You gotta have the necessities. And this is the main hauler right here, RX350. Let's get her done. Let's make sure we got the correct oil here, right? We match up the oil cap. Make sure we got the right viscosity. Make sure we're gonna be operating correctly. 0W20. Looks good. Okay, let's go grab our pans. What we need here. Let's grab the proper tools. Now, all Toyota guys know, new Lexus, it's all the same thing, right? Toyota Lexus, 14 mil. Always a 14 mil on the drain plug. Good old metric. Whew, she needs a bath. Golly. Look how filthy. Oh my goodness. Yep, she's pretty dirty. We'll just have to get that done later. I don't have time today. I got other things I gotta get done as well. Just never ends, right? So first thing, remove your oil cap, okay? Locate your drain plug and your oil filter. Now this one's a canister filter. It's not a screw-on type. I should probably be wearing gloves. That's better, huh? Ah, yes. Let's bring you guys out. Take a look. Looks good. No, I don't have a an O-ring on there. I know, for shame. And I still haven't gotten one either. Sometimes these O-rings will get stuck on the pan there, so let me check on there for a sec. Yeah, it doesn't look like the O-ring is stuck on there. That's okay. I'm gonna have to get some more. I've already gone through all my extras. I used to replace them. Manufacturer says you replace these every single time. That's excessive in my opinion. You don't need to do that. I guess for the diehards, they'll probably replace that O-ring that goes on that drain plug every single time. However, I don't think it's necessary, but I am gonna have to get another one. Probably next oil change, I'll get some more, because I had a pack of like 4 or 5 of them, and I've already gone through them. So for next time. Now let's work on the oil filter here. Toyotas are among some of the ones that require an oil filter wrench or socket to go over the top of that. Now they've created all kinds of different ones, some of them plastic, some of them metal. In my experience, the metal caps always worked the best. However, just be aware sometimes you know, these caps, whether they're the metal ones or the plastic ones, they can get a little stuck. You know, I mean, if you look at these lines here, they're not that defined, and it's easy for this to kind of scoot over and get caught, so that when you try to take this cap off of that socket, it's gonna get a little stuck. So don't be alarmed. You could always replace these caps anyway. What you don't want to have to do is replacing this whole unit here. So do not, it's hard to cross thread these. I don't know if anybody's ever done it, but just be aware when you're putting it back in, go nice and slow, and take your time. Now what I like to use here is the socket portion of this cap. You can use a 3/8 drive to go right in there and loosen that oil filter, no problem. Okay, what I like to do is I like to get a big old socket with a big old oversized 1/2-inch drive breaker bar. Now this is overkill. You don't need this, and you run the risk of over tightening it, but I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I know exactly how it feels once it gets to that spot and it snugs up. You do not over tighten these, otherwise you will be spending a lot of money trying to get this stuff fixed. Uh-oh, here comes my puppy boy. My puppy boy. I'm a good boy. Come here. Hey, say hi. Say hi, my good boy. Say hi, my good boys. Where's he at? Where is he? Hey, hey. Boo. Boo. What are you doing? Love dogs. My good boy. What are you doing? I love my dog. I just call him Puppy Boy all the time. He's gonna be 2. Yeah, he's gonna be 2 years old here soon. Still a pup in my eyes. So if you take a peek here, right here, see that? I mean, it obviously doesn't, you know, bite it to where it won't fall off, but that notch right there allows it to fit perfectly on there. Okay, had to dump my oil out of the container first. So, back to the oil filter here. I probably should have just used a bigger container, to be honest. I don't know why I did it. Brain fart, I guess. But this 1/2-inch drive here with the socket makes it so much easier to have to take off. Now, I know it's not over tightened to begin with. However, that's just the way I like to do it. So, makes it much easier. Once it's been on there for about 3,000 to 5,000 miles anyways, even when you don't over tighten something, sometimes things just sort of like to seize after a little while, okay? So just to make it easy, that's what I use, but you don't have to do that. Feel free to use a 3/8 drive if you want. Okay, this is gonna start leaking out here. Don't be in too much of a rush to take this off, okay? I don't know if you guys can see the dripping going on here, okay? Go slow, because if this thing just pops right out of there, it is gonna come, it's gonna come down with a vengeance and splash you in the face. So nice and slow, okay? Give it a little bit of force, pushing up every time you loosen it. See how much you got left. Okay, a little bit more there. Letting that drain out. Now it's nice here because I'm doing it here in the gravel, so it's not a big deal if some of that spills. But if you're doing it in your garage, or if you got some nice pavers laid out in front of your yard, or something where the wife is going to get pissed if you make an oil spill, I would suggest doing it like this. Take your time. There you go. Nice and slow. Flip it over. Let that drain out a little bit. I'm probably going to do a change of gloves here now anyway. Oh, see? I got a hole. Rag. Pull this baby out. Careful, because she'll drip. Right, here we go. Right, pull your old one out here. Easy enough, right? Okay. Now never, ever reuse this stupid thing, okay? It comes with a new one, and they're a piece of cake to change out. Now, if you don't have a little screwdriver to kind of pry underneath and get it off, this is what you do, right? It's very simple. Let me show you right here. Go like this, and then you go like this, right? So like you're sliding it like this, right? Slide your fingers. Slide your fingers like this. Take it off, right? Piece of cake. There's no reason for this to stay on here, folks. Now you're gonna notice it's gonna come with a second O-ring as well. That's if you undid this part here, which is another reason why I don't like to use this 3/8 drive. This is essentially the plug, and it has an O-ring in there. Now I have never had a problem as long as you leave this alone. Now, if it eventually does leak, because I'm sure, you know, these things are getting old now. If it does leak, feel free, take that off and replace the O-ring, right? But otherwise, every single oil change, especially if you're doing it regularly, again, I like every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Personally, I'm more of a 3,000 mile guy myself, but if maybe I get a little bit busy and I don't have I'm not on top of things because, again, I'm human, and either that or it just sort of escapes me a little bit. You know, I can go 35, 45, 5,000. Not such a big deal. Now, these recommendations where they say to go every 7,500 or even 10,000, I don't know what to tell you. That's stupid. Toyota genuine parts. Okay, here, right there. For the plug, for the cap. Now, if you guys notice that this right here is maybe coming out, or it's not, you know, maybe parts are missing, or maybe because there's a spring down in there as well. This is for the bypass, okay? You guys need to make sure that this is working. Make sure it's not plugged up, which is very, very uncommon. It's very rare. But you guys do not want this malfunctioning, okay? That's for your bypass, and you need for that to work, okay? Don't let that just go by and just disregard it and be like, oh, well, it's not gonna work. No. You don't want to do that, okay? That's a no-no. There, hold on to it, toss it away, whatever you feel. Okay, put it on there. Now, is that right? No, that's wrong. There's a groove here specifically meant to hold this O-ring. You need it to go in there first. Okay, here, okay? Just kind of wipe off the inner part here. I mean, you don't ever want to install parts, any parts, whether it be your water pump, your, you know, fuel parts especially. You don't want contaminants and things like that. I mean, you know, obviously I know that wiping something off, a bunch of this stuff isn't going to come off in there because I've been using these for a while and I know how they go. So just be careful with something maybe like a terry cloth where they tend to have little pieces and chunks come out. So just be aware of that, okay? Put this back on. Do it by hand. Okay. You'll start to feel it grab because then it touches the surface of that O-ring. All right. This is where it helps to have a ratcheting mechanism, but I do not have that. So we're gonna work with what we got. Okay. Coming around here, and you can hear it. You can hear it when it goes on that O-ring. You can hear a little chittering noise, okay? You're doing fine. The second it starts to stop, okay, you give it just a little extra boom. Okay, right there it stops. Now I have a big old 1/2 inch drive deal, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get it, hold it still, give it a little thing here, and that's it. That's all you need. Now, it never hurts to spray a little brake clean in here to make sure all that oil and everything has come off, okay? I like to spray a little bit in there and call it good. All right, and this stuff, you know, just some brake clean, any old brake clean. I just use the generic stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna spend the money on something more expensive. Not when I'm just gonna spray it on there and have it dry off. But I usually like to keep things pretty dry, tidy, because if you're just leaving messes on there, sometimes that can be misleading. It may look like you have a leak, but you really don't have a leak because you're a slob. Oop. I've got probably one of the most important rules right here. Make sure the inside of your funnel is clean. Golly, that was a close one right there. Okay, 5 quarts in. Let's see where we're at, if we're reading on the dipstick yet. Okay, just wait a sec, let it sit down in there, pull it up. We got a little bit of a reading, okay? We're about halfway in between these dots here, okay? That's your 1 quart low. Generally speaking, that's your 1 quart low and your full line, okay? So just put in a little more. I got 2 5-quart jugs because they didn't have any singles at the store. Not such a big deal, but now I have some. for next time. Here, I think that's about it right there. Okay. Let's check again. Okay, while we're here and we're getting this started, all right, first things first, when you start it, make sure you don't have any leaks from the filter or from the plug. So we're gonna do that first. My family's here, actually, right over next to me, so I'm gonna ask them a little cheat. You see any leaks? Anything leaking? All right, cool. 72,700 on the nose. I promise that was not on purpose. Okay, let's turn this off. Now, this is a push button start here. Okay, so we're gonna push it once. All right, push it a second time. That turns the system back on here, okay? Down here is our trip button. It doesn't have the conventional one up here, right? So we're gonna go to the trip here. I'm a little bit early. Like I said, I like to do it every 3,000, but I'm gonna reset this anyway. All right, this is for the, this one that I use for the tire rotation. Usually every 75, 10,000 miles. I mean, I kind of just go by how the tires are looking if I need to rotate them. It's been a little bit since I've rotated them, so I'm not really too worried about that though, because I monitor those all the time. Okay, so any Toyota Lexus owner knows that you're always going to have a maintenance required light or some sort of oil light. Okay, so to get this done, there's a little bit of variation between all of them. I'm not sure the variation between these. Now if I turn this off, okay, we got to reset the oil light here. So hold down your odometer trip button and let's push it on. So push it twice, 1 and then 2. Okay, 1 more time. Resetting oil maintenance data. Okay, you see the lines going. Once you're done, let go of your button and you're all set. Just a simple little deal. If you see that light on, don't be alarmed. That's just for maintenance, you know, to just a little reminder light is essentially all it is. Nothing's going to happen to your engine. Your stuff's not going to blow up. You're not going to have a catastrophic failure. All that is just to let you know that you need to haul your butt or get your butt over to the dealership when you're ready. Okay, it's usually by a mileage interval. Okay, I like to wait a sec, pull this off, and while you're waiting for that to drain down so you can get a good reading, all right, it's probably a good time to check the rest of your fluids. Okay, so I'm going to go over this with you. Right here, you probably can't see it, but down under in here is our coolant. Okay, now coolant, obviously, I'm sure most of us know what coolant does, but it essentially just cools your engine. Okay, depending on where you live is going to depend on what your mixture is, whether you're going to be high in the antifreeze content, maybe you want a little bit more water. If you're somewhere, maybe somewhere like Arizona, I always like to follow the 50-50 rule. Now, of course, if you're going to be in a place that's extremely cold, you're probably going to want to keep just pure concentrated antifreeze in there. And even then, antifreeze still can freeze. I mean, it takes quite a bit for it to do that, but your safest bet is just to go pure concentrate. Now here, 50-50 rule all year round. I'm in Arizona, so I don't need to worry about any issues with cooling or heat transfer or anything like that, okay? One thing you do want to keep in mind though, is that for your coolant, okay, this is important. You want to keep track of the acidic level of your coolant. Coolant gets acidic over time, and that is not good for your cooling system. Most people want to be able to just leave it unless it's leaking. I don't want to have to change it out. That is not the way you do that. Do yourself a favor, go online, find out your service intervals of when you pull the old fluid out and you put the new fluid in. You don't really need to get anything flushed. just stay on top of your fluids and exchange your fluids out. I'm a big proponent. I'm a big advocator for always changing your fluids out. Same thing goes for your brake fluid, okay? Now, real quick, this vehicle here, it's 2011, so it's still pretty old now. It's about 13 years old. However, it's all electric steering, so I don't have any power steering fluid to have to worry about. However, on my brake fluid, okay, brake fluid will absorb moisture over time. Moisture will get in the system that'll ruin your ABS system, and that's probably the largest expense that you could go through if you have to get all that changed. Okay, there's service intervals for all of these fluids. I don't care what the manufacturer says. I don't care. There is always a service interval for these. Back to the Lexus here. Any of your fluids, whether it be transmission fluid, all transmission fluid service intervals for every manufacturer and every system, even within the manufacturer, is going to be different. Now, Toyota is pretty stable across the board when it comes to a lot of their changes. You know, the diff fluids on a lot of them, you know, you're changing every 30,000 miles. Transmission fluids, you're doing about every 60,000 miles. Spark plugs, again, you're doing about every 30,000 miles on a lot of these Toyotas. Now, it's not that way for every single manufacturer, so find out what it is for your specific vehicle. Do yourself a favor and keep on top of that, especially the fluid part. I mean, the fluids cost hardly anything at all. Looks good, right on that dot. And there we go. And that's changing the oil on a 2011 Lexus RX350. Look, this doesn't have to be complicated, guys. This is easy stuff. This is something that men and women alike, all of us can do and save ourselves a lot of money and possibly a headache from somebody else doing it incorrectly. I don't know how many nightmare stories I have of somebody just leaving something untightened, leaving it off. I've seen the oil caps just get put off to the side, and now there's oil freaking busting out of the valve cover there and making a big old huge mess. So guys, do yourself a favor, save yourself some money as well. And plus, this allows you to get acquainted with the vehicle that you have, and you're able to be well more equipped for when things go wrong in the future. Now, I'm not saying you have to be able to know how to rebuild this engine and do all this to begin with, but for something as easy as changing the oil, I mean, come on, that's all of us can do that. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below if you want. Hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just remember, there's no substitute for good old-fashioned know-how. Oh, come on now.